Matt. Welcome back to Hi Haley.
It's great to be back. Seems like I'm here every day now.
I was thinking about this. I feel like we should call it Hi Haley and Matt. Like and Matt at the end. I feel like you're the only one ever on. So glad we're back and doing some more Power Platform today.
Yeah, well, it's good to be back.
All right.
Well, I think I'm going to ask you a question today because you always have to ask me one.
Okay.
So let's go with what are you watching on TV?
Oh, I hate that you asked me this week because it's kind of embarrassing. I recently finished the shows I was watching, and so I was desperate. Picked Secret Life of Mormon Wives. So this is
Oh,
my first
okay.
time getting into reality TV, and it's addicting. So I think I might stick on this for a while, but that's what I'm currently watching.
What channel is it on? I feel like such a
Hulu.
boomer for saying it like that, but Hulu?
It's on Hulu. All right, so today we're switching it up. I'm gonna drive and we're going to create a Canvas app since we've already done a model-driven app and seen a good chunk of the Power Platform. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen and we'll switch over. Great. So I'm within my solution called Game Day Grid. So today we're going to make a Canvas app that basically pulls the schedule for an NFL football team. So you can select what your team is, and then it's going to pull the schedule. So from within here, I'm going to select New
And you're in the
App.
solution right now, right?
I'm in my solution, correct. So we're going to choose Canvas app this time before we chose model driven. And we're going to give our app a name. So I'm going to call this my game day. Super clever. And then we're going to, I really need to fix that. We're going to leave it in tablet mode and I'm going to click create. All right, so from here, we're on a blank canvas, and this one looks so much different than the model-driven apps do. And so we'll see that as we go through this. But I'll go ahead and mention we have already created a Power Automate flow that takes the scheduling data from, I think we got it from ESPN, pulls it into what an API, and then grabs it so we can actually get it from within our Canvas app. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and my first step is going to be to create a drop down. And so what this is going to do is allow the user to come in here and select which team they're choosing. Input, find drop down. So you have a ton of options over here. All right, so one of the first things I'm going to do, learn this from Matt, keep ourselves organized, is to rename this so I know what it is. And for this one, we're going to call it team selection. All right.
And
So
I know
within
a lot of
here,
people like to prefix the names of these fields with things like drop down, underscore. I don't think it really matters as long as you're consistent. Um, it doesn't actually drive any functionality. It just helps you with kind of organization. So it's kind of another way to do it. But just naming it team selection is fine too.
does it hurt to have spaces in the names of these sort of things?
No, it should be fine.
Okay. All right. So up at the top here, we have items, and then it equals to a function. This looks very similar to Excel, but basically what we're doing here is saying, what do we want our drop-down items to be? All right, so before I actually put my items in my drop-down here, we need to add our data source, and I've already created that. And what it is a table in my solution called teams, and in there I put the team names and just a number associated with each team. That way we can pull the right URL with the right schedule. So here on the left, we're going to go down to our data tab and we're going to click add data. Under tables, you can see we have teams, and this is the one I made. So we're going to select it. And now we have our teams data. So then I'm going to go back to my drop down where it says items, so I can set what will be in my drop down is equal to teams. All right, so you can see here, it's showing my numbers. I don't want it to show the ID associated with that record. So if you go to the right over here, make sure your items is selected as teams, and then you can change the value that shows. And so for my example, I want to do NFL team, which is my column that houses the actual name of the football team. All right, so we're good to go there. Our next step is to create a button. And so this button is going to be used. So you select your team, then you'll click the button to actually generate the schedule. We're going to go back over here, click our plus, and choose our button option, which is again under input. Drag and drop over here. All right, so here at the top, we see something called onSelect. So this is exactly what the name is. It's when you select it or any user selects it, what is it going to do? And so for us here, we want it to actually pull whatever value we have here, insert it into our flow so it pulls the correct team data. Okay, so for my button, I need to actually connect our flow. So we're going to go down here to Power Automate and click Add Flow. So you can see here, Get NFL Team Schedule for Game Day Grid. So we're going to choose it. And we should be connected. So now we're connected to our teams table and then also our Power Automate flow to get that scheduled. So we're going to go back to our button. So on select, we're going to type in set. What set will do is set the value of this button here. So we're going to do set, choose data.
And data is the variable name, right?
The variable name, correct. We're going to do the get NFL team schedule for game day grid.run. We're saying to run this upon selection of this button, but we need to tell it what to run. And so this is going to be the team selection you have here, but more specifically, the number associated with it. And the reason it's the number is because the number is what is plugged into our API URL that will pull the correct team data. So we're going to do the name of our, go back to your tree view so you can see the name of your field. So we're going to do team selection dot selected. And then we're going to change it so it pulls the number, which again is what we need for it to pull the correct schedule. And then we need one more parentheses. All right. Again, forgot to name our button. Not best practice there. For this one, we can do find schedule. You want to change the name that's on the button. Over here on the right, you have text options, so you can also change it there. Because no one's going to know what button means. You also have other options to edit it, make it look prettier. All right, so we have our dropdown, we have our button, now we need the data to be displayed. And so we are going to now grab a vertical gallery and drag it over. The vertical gallery, again, is in the name. It's just going to print our data vertically in a gallery so you can scroll through it. Let's move it over here. All right, so our first step is we're going to set the gallery. This is like setting the data here within it. So we're saying table, and then we're going to do parse JSON data, setting our data from our variable here and find schedule dot games.
And that's because in the Power Automate flow, we're returning the game's data in a JSON format, right?
Correct. Still, we don't have data in here. It's not working. So we need to go and tell it some more things to do. But first off, I'm going to say layout because I don't want pictures here. So we're just going to do title and subtitle. Much better. Don't want Copilot. So we're going to set our fields in our gallery. So our first one here, we need to get the abbreviated name of the game. So who did the Atlanta Falcons play, for example? So we're going to set this item dot value dot short name. So short name is coming again from our Power Automate flow. It's the name of the field that houses the who the game was played. All right. And our second field here, we're going to set to be the week. So what week of college or NFL football is that? So for this one, we're going to do dot value dot week dot text. And we have two behind value this time because week has several fields within it, within our data source. All right. So I need to add another field, but I'd like to see something here. So we're going to go ahead and save it and play it just so we can see it and see what this looks like visually.
Moment of truth.
I have my fingers crossed every time. Now we're going to click play after it is saved. So for this one, let's do something different. Let's find our Minnesota Vikings from Matt
All right.
and then click find
5-0.
schedule. Oh, it worked. Okay. So you can see here short name Minnesota and at the New York Giants, and then we have the week. But we also, it would be helpful to have the actual date of the game. So let's go back in, and we have no fields left, but there's still hope. All we need to do is add a text label. And we can just add this straight into our slot here. All right, so much like our two here, we need to tell it what the value of this is going to be. So we're going to set this one to date, which is this item.value.date. You can change the formatting of this date, look into that. It'll easily make this a short date, or you can have it just see the time, whatever you wish. It's definitely an option. But for this one, we're going to leave it as B, and then click save. And I can publish my app when I'm done, but it's as easy as that. And we have now created a Canvas app that pulls some pretty cool data.
I like it.
Me too. I think it's very interesting. We'll have to expand on this in our next one. I don't know
Let's
how,
do it.
but we'll come up with something. Awesome. Well, Matt, thanks for joining us for that and helping me explain some of that. But
Yeah.
good episode, and I hope we have a great weekend of football, I guess, now that we've talked about the subject.
All right. We'll do.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.